Good evening, everyone, and this is Jess, J for Jess, and her juicy JASSMs. Jess is fresh out of the boneyard, Davis Manathan, where her and a few of her colleagues have been resting since 1979. Jess is the first of around 30 airframes which are going to be converted by the Malagasy Air Ministry to RA-5M standard. They were going to be called A5Ms, but no one would really understand it. So Jess and her colleagues have been basking in the sun in climate controlled environments for all that time, and now they're being rudely reawoken, re-engined with Pratt & Whitney PW1120 engines, derivative of the F100, developed jointly by Israel in the late 80s, early 90s. Never fielded, but the perfect engine to replace the thirsty J79. Jess is in the new Ghost camouflage, which makes everything ultra cool and ultra stealthy. Now, the Vigilante actually was quite a stealthy aircraft for its time. 18 were lost in the course of the Vietnam War, but they flew the most dangerous missions, that of a post-strike reconnaissance. Now, Jess is in the Officer Jenny squadron there, the Officer Jenny from Pokemon, and I've just given her some light decals. I've not given her a wash yet because she's literally brand new, and I've used some low-vis decals on her. She's in the medium gunship grey top and USN light ghost grey underneath. Now, this is of course the excellent Trumpeter kit. The Trumpeter kit is probably the best one on the market. People have been critical of its nose shape. I think it looks really good and perfect for what I need. Now, just to say that it's very hard to find a rival to the F-15E, which of course is an amazing aircraft, and I think the Vigilante is one of the few that can actually pull it off, both in speed and performance and weapons carriage. So the Vigilante here in the spine has increased fuel. That fuel cell runs all the way between the engines, and therefore it doesn't need CFTs, which of course, and as I don't have a 3D printer, I can't produce. Now, the F-15E can carry a remarkable 5 JASSMs, which is the AGM-158, the Western media's latest wonder weapon, and that is no mean feat. And Jess can carry 5 JASSMs. So Jess is equaling the F-15E Eagle here, and I think she pulls it off with more style. Because the Eagle ones, if you look at them, they have 2 JASSMs behind the main gear, and it looks really draggy. So changes obviously with the engines, the central area being used for fuel here, the infrared system here now replacing the camera, an AESA digital radar, digital CAN bus avionics, fibre optics throughout, 2 additional pylons for self-defense AIM-9Xs. Here's the AGM-158 and the sniper targeting pod for targeting. Chaff and flare dispensers here. The Vigilante has lots of ECM as standard. I've just upgraded it with some missile alert warning systems here and at the tail. I've converted the rear tail canoe fairing into an ECM pod at the rear there, with the Vigilante's warning system on the top. So a rework throughout, and there is the Pratt & Whitney engines and some missile warning systems here. Now, Jess has come out quite nicely. I've got a second one to do, and I want to do that one in a flight condition. But I thought, well, let's have a look at what Jess is going to be doing and why the Vigilantes are back. Now, the Vigilantes are my B-58 Hustler replacement. The Hustlers were in service from 1969 with the Malagasys after they were retired by the Americans. Now, how on earth did this happen? Well, we need to cast our minds back to 1973, where America was broke again. In Whatif land, the Vietnam War had another 6 years to run, and the Malagasys, the Kangaroo Australians, and the New Zealanders were all involved in supporting the Americans in Whatif world with the South Koreans. And of course, in 1973, America was broke and it had a president who was up to no good. Madagascar, on the other hand, the Malagasy Whatif state, was rolling in oil, literally bathing in the stuff. They're having oil jacuzzis and eating oil for breakfast. So, of course, America in 1973 is hit by restrictions on its oil due to the Yom Kippur War. The Malagasy state stepped in and drove a hard bargain and basically said, well, we want the rights to some of your aircraft engineering firms, and we also want the scrap rights, because the Whatif Malagasy state, there is a bit of a scrap merchanting going on, and why not? Everyone likes a bargain. So Davis Menathan and the retirement and scrapping of US Air Force jets gets handed over to the Malagasy Aircraft Ministry and Air Corporation. Now, it may take 10 or 20 years till the aircraft feature through and cycle through, but it gives the Malagasys first choice, and they can call shotgun over what they want to save and what they don't want to save. The Americans have been trying to get out of that deal since 1973. Unfortunately, it's written in stone that it needs all three executive branches to cooperate and a signature from the Coca-Cola company and a signature from a certain Dr. Strangelove, who no one can find. So the deal has worked out well for the Malagasys, and that's how they have these aircraft that they're able to bring back into service and switch around. Unfortunately, the provision is that they have to be available in 1 in 72nd. Now, the Malagasys do buy some new stuff, and here is a Ghost F-16 IM back, well, fresh into service. This one is, and this one is carrying the Popeye missile there. It's from the Oddish Pokemon Squadron. So they do have some brand new combat aircraft like the KF-21, and they have the Buccaneers. They bring old ones back, and this is a Seed F-16 CJM Block 82, I think, from the Malagasy Air Force. So the Malagasy Air Force is a strange mix of old types in limited quantities that have been refurbished and brand new aircraft. Now, I like to make up lots of what if stories and plan my what ifs and incorporate some lessons from military history, because that's my interest and what I studied at university. Different to my day job, which is very much about keeping things peaceful, but this allows me to exercise my creative side and keeps me from spending too much money on cars. So the idea is that the Malagasys operate something called conventional deterrence, which is very difficult to do, but what it means is if you attack the Malagasy state, they will smack you back, or they may preemptively smack you before you smack them, to keep it simple. So in layman's terms, they're using force under common law to prevent themselves being taken out, and if you do attack them, they will use lots of force to make sure you don't attack them again. Now, the Malagasy state is in this key strategic position down here off the coast of Africa. And the Malagasys have always been aligned to America, although they do buy some Chinese stuff, and now, due to the Americans being upset, they're buying more American stuff again. Now, this comes back from 1942, which is real history, when the British liberated Madagascar from the French. The Vichy French, and I've changed the timeline. So after the war, instead of it being given back to the French, it allied with the Americans and got its freedom. Now, crucial to the Malagasy state is the Kerguelen Island down here near the cold and ice area, some island chains up here towards Diego Garcia, and obviously the Malagasys, they're in a very important position because they've got the access to this part of the Southern Atlantic, and they can reach up here towards the Gulf of Hormuz, towards the Suez Canal, and they can reach out here towards Kangaroo Land, and a lot of the world's trade flows this way. With what's happening with the Houthis, a lot of the world trade is now coming down here, and there's also trade routes going up here. So a very important strategic position, and that's another reason why the Americans want to be allies with them, even though they are non-aligned, they're not part of NATO, they are very crucial. And Chinese, of course, also want to be influencing them, and the Russians as well. But the Vigilantes are replacing the Hustlers. And why is Jess carrying so many JASSMs, and what are they? Well, the JASSM is the AGM-158 stealthy cruise missile. It's got a range of around 500 kilometers, probably more, but they don't always say how much the true range is. It's a stealthy shaped weapon, and it is also the same as the long range anti-ship missile, or the RA-5M. Now the Vigilante is, in this guise, carrying 5 of them. The Vulcans can carry up to 12. And what this allows the Malagasys to do is to bring back and effectively control over, if you were going to attack the Malagasy state, you've got to come across the sea, you've got to come through these pinch points, you've got to come and attack them. You can attack them on land, and that's why they have the Malagasy Expeditionary Force there, but then you've still got to cross the sea there. So with the JASSMs, with the RA-5Ms, with the idea of conventional deterrence, actually the Malagasys can, using the Vigilantes, project their power and protect themselves from attack out towards this radius, because anyone coming into them, if you're coming in with an amphibious group, well, imagine 12 of these Vigilantes coming in with 5 RA-5Ms each, 12 times 5, that's how many missiles that they can launch from low level under the radar to attack your amphibious group. Imagine that you have attacked the Malagasys, or you present a threat and you're in a terror camp here in Africa. Well, you can be hit by the Malagasy Vulcans, you can be hit by the JASSMs using the penetrator warheads, you can be hit by long range cruise missiles, or they can use guided bombs to hit you. And the next Vigilante I do will be part of this conventional deterrence, and they work with the Vulcans in the standoff role. They have the seed packages here of the F-16s, and if you see my other video for the EF-15G, my Growler Eagles, and the Vigilantes fit in here, and they do the long range strike as part of waves of suicide drones coming in and suppressing enemy air defense. So it's all part of an integrated package. And let's just have a quick look at the mission profiles, because I like to think about, okay, so I've made these models, they've all got different weapons and equipment. So the seed one's got harm targeting system. We've got a Popeye long range cruise missile from Israel on this F-16. We've got the JASSMs, or the RA-5Ms, on a Jess. And the next one I'm going to do is going to have GBUs, because you've got 2 types of mission profiles that you can really fly. You can do medium level attacks if you're in a permissive air defense environment. That means you've not got the threat. For example, if you want to see what Israel is doing, they are operating a permissive environment. Medium altitude tanker here, go up, come down to medium altitude, hit the targets. It gives you great accuracy, great effects. You can use the sniper pod to guide your bombs in onto the target. You can really hit with precision and take out those enemies that you need to. Now, if you're operating in a denied air defense environment, this is where the Vigilante's key strength in. The Vigilante is extremely good at low level penetration, just like the F-15 Eagle, with the infrared under the nose there, with the terrain following radar and the sniper pod, night vision equipped cockpit, all the ECM, all the countermeasures. Basically, you can either do a high, low, low, or a low, low, low profile, which uses more fuel. Supported by the tankers, which in my case C-135s and A400s at the minute. And that's where the Vigilante is also really good, because it has a Navy style refueling probe there, so no issues for the A400s to tank these. Come in under the radar, punch through the air defences with the assistance of the seed packages, loft or lob your weapons, or fire your JASSMs from outside the air defence envelope and strike your targets and get out before they even know what's happened. So that's how the Vigilante will fit in. It gives a more focused penetration than the Vulcans. The Vulcans can do low level work, but actually you're carrying less crew, you're going faster because this is a supersonic capable aircraft. You're getting in, you're getting out, you're hitting the enemy before they know what's happened. You're being supported by the seed package, you're being supported by standoff weapons, and this is how I hope to achieve conventional deterrence. So there'll be 24 of these operational, 2 squadrons of 9, so 18 in the operational squadrons. The rest will be spares and in maintenance and training, like an operational conversion unit. They are replacing the Su-34s, which were a bit of a failure for the Malagasy state, taking the big shoes left by the Hustlers. The Su-34s have been flown back to Russia and dumped. And they are, in my view, one of the most beautiful aircraft. 30 airframes in total, giving some attrition spares. I really like this. Is the kit good? Yes, it is very good. One issue is it has a seam line down the centre, which is really hard to remove because the detail is so fine on this model. Trumpeter have really come up with a lovely looking detail model. So I hope this explains what I'm doing with Jess. I need to build her colleague now in flying condition. I've got some buccaneers to finish, and I hope this gives you a flavour of my crazy whatifery. Take care. Goodbye.